Welcome back to learning to program using the Godot game programming engine. In this video we're going to continue to work on our Adventure World game. So my class that I'm teaching kind of parallel to these video series has gone on winter break, so I kind of lost a little bit of my momentum and guidance here on the project, but I really hate unfinished things, so I want to continue this video series and turn this into an actual game. Also, I played a platformer the other day, and I really enjoyed it. It was short. I probably beat it in 3-4 hours, but it was extremely challenging, and I believe it was done by one developer or maybe two guys, and it was really good. The graphics were probably as simple as this, but it had a lot of neat gameplay mechanics and challenging bosses and platformer challenges. It was really fun. So I think that kind of got me motivated again to finish this up. So what I want to do in this video is, in the last video we looked at area 2Ds to cause, or well, the video before last because we did the camera. We looked at this area 2D for causing events to happen when we enter an area. And if I didn't make a video for the camera, which I may not have, what we did is to add a camera node, you just add a camera 2D node under your player, because your player is what's moving around, and you need to set it to current, and then the rest of these things are set by default, but you can change the drag margin, which this is as your player's moving, the camera, he can move around a little bit in the inside without the camera moving, but then he'll drag the camera with him. And then there's a limits, so you could set it so if I move over here to the left, the screen would actually stop right there, and then my character, so let's try that real quick. So I'll just change the left margin to 0, and then I'll play again. Now if I walk to the left, my screen should stop right there. So that's how you can control your left, right, up and down movement of your camera. Alright, so that's a quick thing on the camera to update you there in case I forgot. And then yeah, so we did the area 2D. So let's make so an important part of games is you want more than one level. So let's make a goal of some sort. So what I want to do, just kind of the high level, let's see, I've got flags. Oops, I've got flags too. Let's see, what do we think would look better? Yeah, let's do flags. I think I've got 2 flags here, which kind of create an animation. So what I want is I want to have a little flag here, and when I touch it, I want to move to the next level. Alright, so we'll need a second level. And my level here is not that complicated. I could use something called these inherited scenes, and what it does, it allows you to keep some nodes around between levels, but in this case I really don't have too much to carry forward as it is. So let's just make a new level. I do need a node 2D for the base, and we'll call it level 2, and I will go ahead and lock that because I don't want my level 2 node moving from the origin there. I will need a tile map. Tile map, and its tile set needs to be set to the default tile set right there. So that's good. I'm going to go ahead and save this in levels 2, and I can draw stuff. So here I'm just going to draw, yeah, let's make this a little cave scene. Alright, so then alright, so yeah, so there we go. And back here, oh, I need my player in there, so let's add the player. And right there I was about to add him to the tile map, so I need to click on level 2, then when I drag him in he will be under level 2. And my player needs to be above my tile map, I don't think that's super important since we're colliding with everything, but just to keep things straight. And it's good. So I could add a bush in here just for giggles, and I was about to add it to the player. So here I could add a little bush down there, and yeah. For right now, we'll just leave this like this. We're good. All right. So now I want to have. Let's wall this off. So let me go to my tile map and wall this off, and let's eliminate all this because we were using this for our running platform. And right here, we're going to create our flag. So let's create a new scene, and we'll go to the origin right there, and let's add a area 2D, just like what we did with the bushes. And under that, let's add a animated sprite. All right. And on that, we'll create a new sprite frame. And it's not an animation. I need to click that, and it's an animation frames. And default is fine. And what I want to do is I want to add my 2 flags in here. Like that. And I want to click the playing. There we go. So now I can actually I can see it moving. So before I save this, let's change this to goal flag. Yeah. And then so this is complaining because it needs a collision shape. So we'll give it a collision shape. And of course, collision shapes need an actual shape defined. And we'll just do a rectangle for this one. And I'll expand it out to be roughly the size of, oops, didn't mean to move that, Control Z to undo, roughly the size of the flag. Alright, so I'm going to save this, and I don't want it in my levels folder, I just want it up here, and I'll save that. So right now, if I put this back in level 1, and let's go up here, and I'll find my goal flag, and I don't want it on there, I want it there. So I'll put that right there. So now I have my goal in my game, and if I play and run into it, nothing should happen, right? But I will see it animating in the game, which looks great. And because it's lower than my player, it'll render on top of my player. So that's why that's happening. If I wanted it to be behind the player, then I need to move the player in front of it. And currently I don't have any tiles that I go in front of, so that's fine. We can worry about that later. Alright, so I've got my flag and I can run to it, but it doesn't do anything. However, just like we did with the bush, I can create, using my area 2D, I can create an event to happen when I run into it. So I'm going to create a script. I'll go ahead and wipe all this out and save it, and then down here in my node for goal flag, I have not the input event, I want the body entered. And I'll go ahead and attach that. And so now I can tell when something enters it, and I need to check, it's been a while since I looked at this, I need to check how do I identify my player. I know he's in a group, and he's in the player and in moves bushes. Let's use the player because this is only going to affect when the player moves between levels. We don't want to move monsters. So what I can do is say if body.is in group, and then use player, then this will trigger, right? And so what I want to do is I want to move to a new scene. So in my cheat sheet, which I like to keep around, So I've got this Godot cheat sheet, and I advise you to do something similar. So I've got, every time I find a neat little useful chunk of code, I like to save it off in here. So I've got a bunch of stuff, and specifically what I've got is I've got this change scene. So let's grab that, and I'm just going to paste it in there. Alright, so I'm going to change scene. So this gets the tree, and then calls the change scene function on that tree node, and then it goes to this path. So I need to change this right here to be the scene I want to go to. So I store that under my levels folder, and then I have level2.tscn is where I want to go. So let's give this a try and see if this works. So I run over, and I instantly appear in my second level. Awesome! So my second level does not have the camera on it, so it doesn't move. In this case, it actually is quite appropriate. Now I still have all my player movement and the bush interaction, all that, because this is all separated in their own scenes, and the scripts for those are in the sub-scenes. So that's why it was so easy to create my second level there and get all that functionality back. So one thing, we don't have a transition, and we'll look at that later, but we could add a transition to our scene. And off the top of my head, I would probably try and do some sort of animation. So we could add like an overlay or something to our level here. So it could go over the screen, or over the camera, and then we could like fade out, and then at the end of that animation we could jump to that. That might be fun to do. What else do we need? So we pop in right here, so that's kind of like how we're defining our starting position. Oops, didn't want to do that. Let's lock this tile map. Forgot to do that. That'll prevent me from, if I'm just clicked on my level and I click somewhere, I'm not going to click and select my tile map. If I want to change my tile map, I actually have to click it here in order to edit it, which is perfect. Alright, so I moved my player down a little bit, that way he doesn't fall as far at the beginning, which seemed a little odd. So that's good. And let's see, what else? Well, once I'm here, I don't have any way to get out or get back. So I could do that by adding a goal flag again. And again, I need to select level 2, and I need my tscene file. So I could do this. The problem here is this is going to send me back to level 2, right? Because in my code here, my script, I hard-coded this level 2 scene right there. That's not exactly what I want. I actually want to go back to level 1 or some other level, right? So what I can do is use the export variable here and export a variable. So I know I could do a string, so let's look up Godot export hints. Sure. I know this link will get me there. So here we go. In the Godot documentation, there's a page, this one right here, and it has all of the hints that I can use in Godot. So this one would work, right? So I've got string, and then it gives you a list of options there. Or I could just use string, and it'll just force me to use a string. I could also use a pack scene. I think that one may be what I want. This one would work. This is good. So this would tell me a file, so make me use a file path, and it gives me a way to filter it, so I could filter it to just tscene files. Let's try that one. See how this one works. So I'm going to just copy it out and save myself some typing. So string file, and here instead of text I want tscn, and my variable will be scene to load, right? And of course, instead of this, I want scene to load. So back on my level 1, if I click on this flag and I go to my inspector, you'll see I have script variables, and I have scene to load, and I have a null. So if I tried to run this right now, I would actually get an error if I ran into this flag. So let's see what happens so that you can see what. Alright, so I get invalid type of function change scene on base cannot convert argument 1, so the first argument, this one, from nil to string. So this is nil because I didn't define it here and I didn't pick it here. So let's stop, and if I pick it here, right, so scene to load null the same as nil, and so I need to pick it. So if I click that and click file, it'll let me pick a file. So I want to do levels, and I want to go to level 2. Right, so if I expand this out so you can see it, now I've got that, and this is exactly like what I had before. I've got that resource, levels, level 2, T-scene right there. So that was a way that I could pick it using this picker here. And now when I run over there, I go to the second level. Awesome. So now I've got my functionality back. The difference is now on level 2, this guy also has one who's now null, and I can go back and pick level 1. Now when I play and I run into this one, I go into level 2, and then on level 2 I go back to level 1. Awesome. Excellent. So one other problem that just arose from doing that is in level 1 what I'd probably like to do is actually pop out here and not over here. So what I probably need, instead of actually placing my character into the world, or I can place him into the world and then I need to move him here quickly. Alright, so I did a little cut there. I went down a rabbit hole trying to make my character move back to a different position than the starting position, and it was a little bit long, so I think I'm going to cut that and move that into another video, and we'll do that another time. But I think this is a good wrapping up spot. I hope you learned something. We definitely learned how to jump to a new scene, created a second level, and we'll also look at probably next. I'd like to look at making an area that affects the player. So we've got our areas here that affect the environment, and we've got the flag that moves you to a new level, but we don't have anything that affects the player. So maybe we'll make like a pool of water that when the player gets into the pool of water, they either walk slower or maybe they drift down slower. Maybe even look at a little swimming. I don't know. We'll figure it out. Alright, so I think that'll be next, and I think that would be good. That'll be a good step towards moving this to being a full and complete game. And thanks for watching. Bye.